Special event alert.
Get out of the air raid shelter and run, because you are late for Changeover, your weekly space news and variety show. I am Marty Smith, your host, and I'm joined by our man in the closet, Jake Wall.
Whoa. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Our favorite teapot, Kevin Balcom.
Missed y'all last week.
And Mr. History, Eric Perrott.
The animals are in tonight. Oh.
So take your seats, get informed, and have a laugh as we present Late for Changeover. Ooh, I skipped the whole thing there. Oh, well. Oh, well, I get it.
What, did you have something scripted?
Well, not really. I was thinking about it all week where you're like, hey, you're off your game. And I was like, what can I say? So I have to save it for next week now. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Teapot, welcome back. We put you on assignment last week, so
we
no
missed
updates.
Big Blue.
No updates.
51 hours.
None of you guys have sent me any updates from your trips. You know that?
I actually sent you pictures from the red.
You had a lot of good pictures, Jake. You had a lot of good pictures.
I commented.
Marty said,
send
me
send
pictures
a
from
video
your road
update.
trip.
I said
Oh,
send a
here we
video.
go.
That's what I wanted. And then I told Eric, I said, dial in, send a video, something like that we can play. Nothing.
Next Tuesday, I'm there.
And so the only one I'm happy with tonight is Teapot, because I never know when he's going to be here. So when he is, it's a gift.
We need to give him the participation medal.
Yeah, where's that?
I
shit?
want a
no.
participation trophy.
Here. This one's for you, or this one, whatever that one is.
That's the achievement.
We haven't awarded a good conduct medal in a long time. So
No, we
that should tell you about our team.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, it should tell you about our stingy ass leader.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's
We
right.
might support more if he put out more.
I feel like a revolutionary colonel is just like, we're going to pay you eventually, all right?
Eventually.
When we get a country of our own, we'll pay you. So
Times are hard.
I had a couple of interviews last week that I put out.
Yeah, man.
First
Yeah.
was Army Sergeant First Class retired Keith Francis, who was an air defender. I went down to Jake's VFW, Post 101, down in Colorado Springs, and we talked, and I cut almost as much length out of that interview as the interview ended up being, because we just sat and bullshitted for a long time. So
that was the problem, right?
Yeah.
Because the bartender left and said, "Jake, you got keys?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I do."
Oh, the bar is open.
and in fact,
that's what it was.
towards the end of that interview, there were some parts that I cut out where I literally slurred my question to Keith, and I was like, "Holy shit!" When you listen to it sober, you're like, "Oh my god!" Fuck.
And then Keith and I both are like, "You literally just asked that, Marty. You good, man? Good?"
Like, I asked him about his retirement ceremony. He told me how he didn't go to his retirement ceremony. We talked and drank, and then I was like, all right, tell me about your retirement ceremony.
Tell me about it.
I was like, holy shit, that was bad.
What was your favorite NCO? Whoa. I'm like, Marty, what are you doing?
But that was a good time, man. That was fun.
A lot of good questions in that interview.
The other
It was
one
fun.
was Army Sergeant First Class retired Kendra Harrelson, who was a medic, and she is currently Mrs. Texas 2024. So she goes up against, or she competes for Mrs. USA in August. Now,
that's badass.
what they do, this is a little bit different than like the Miss America. So they get to choose a nonprofit. So I told her I would advertise her nonprofit, which is Love Without Boundaries. So if you go to lovewithoutboundaries.com, and they do healing education and refuge to vulnerable children worldwide. So health care for like cleft palates, for abandoned children, all that kind of stuff. If you give to that, I think in this window from now until August, the more they tally up the donations for all these nonprofits and who sponsors them, and then they push them up. She can make like instant top 10 if she makes enough in donations.
Oh, very cool.
So And I'll put that in the show notes, lovewithoutboundaries.com. So she was a trip, man. She was from Tacoma, Washington, I think she grew up. So and she went JROTC, and she joined the Washington National Guard her junior year. So she signed a contract. Parents had to sign off. She joined at 17. She went to basic training between her junior and senior year in high school.
Holy crap.
Wow.
I know, right?
think
I'm
that
like,
was
that
possible.
was nowhere near my mind to do that. So,
No.
And then, I got to listen to it.
and then she was a guardsman
She's come-
for her whole senior year. So she would go and drill on the weekends. and
1
stuff.
weekend a month?
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
Because she transitioned. I listened to the first part of it. She transitioned to active duty, though.
Yeah.
She did-
So her first
Oh.
enlistment
Yeah.
That's
contract,
freaking cool.
she let it lapse, and then she enlisted in the active duty.
Yeah.
And she went to V-spotting and on and on from there. So
Yeah.
she was a medic, got assigned to the engineers, right? They deployed to Iraq, to Taji. And then like a couple months into that, they're like, okay, you're going to Afghanistan. So they shipped them from Taji to Afghanistan.
Some garden
God
spots.
Damn. So she got both
Oof.
war zones in one deployment. I think they may have been the only unit that did that, or one of the few
Damn,
units that did
that's
that.
impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So go out to lovewithoutboundaries.com and help Sergeant First Class Kendra Harrelson.
Nice.
So good luck to you. And so I'm gonna call her back up, and maybe she'll show up on the show and give us a little update how it's going. So
That'd be cool.
okay, ready for the news?
Bring on
yeah.
the news.
All right, this
Always
first one,
ready.
I've got a video for this first one, and
Oh.
I don't really have. Well, I could rip it apart, but it's a really cool video. So, last week we talked about space and cars. You missed that one, Teapot. We were talking about cars.
Lunar
Did you see some of the comment? This guy made a comment on the YouTube thing. Did you see that
No.
comment? He's like, "Oh, we're
On
gonna
the
go up there
YouTube
we're gonna go up to the moon just like we did in in front of the green screen during the Apollo days." And I was like, "Oh God!"
That's right.
And I told him Capricorn won, man. That's the movie I remember about the fake moon landing.
It could be a conspiracy.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. I was like, "Oh, good. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it."
Yeah.
Hey, at least we're attracting a crowd.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
A
I was gonna
crowd.
say,
Yeah, that's right. Teapot, do you see any of the clips that I put on like Instagram or
I'm not on
YouTube
Instagram much, man.
How about YouTube? Do you see any of those YouTube ones?
Do you
Marty,
do anything
Teapot's
useful,
so-
Teapot?
Teapot's so nice because he's like, if you had asked that question to me and I had that answer, I would have been like, fuck no. Get out of here.
There's only one person in this,
Marty, I'm not
in
really
this
on
video
Instagram.
that has young kids, and I'm with them till after 8.
Hey,
And I either-
and then what? You're on Pornhub? What? You can't
Priorities.
jump over to the late
No,
for
that's
changeover
Teapot.
show and watch a
No.
little bit of that?
That's
Full
all 500
support.
in the morning. You got to get that done before work, right? So
I full support
it-
Teapot.
I think he's been on my
Good job.
OnlyFans. He's been on my OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, maybe
on.
we should post a video out on your OnlyFans there, Eric.
it's an addiction. I'll probably get another 100% for that. So whatever.
Yikes.
Well, that's when you develop the carpal tunnel. Then they'll give you another
Yeah.
25 for
Yeah.
that. So
Like, why is this?
I was in the boxing club, honestly.
what were you doing? And you're like, oh,
Boxing. Amateur boxing, I promise.
It's crooked. It's crooked. Yeah.
Why do you write like a lefty with your right hand?
Here,
You know why. You know.
but wait, you did. I mean, you're almost like your own skill bridge because you can type like a motherfucker with one hand, though, right? I mean, Jesus.
oh yeah, let it go.
All right. This week we're going to talk about space and inflatables. All right.
How
I know.
appropriate.
Solid segue there, Marty.
Dissolving. It was dissolving so quickly.
So
Oh my
this company has designed something to be really compact, and then when they want, they pump it up to be even bigger. So
Oh.
yeah, it's inflatables. All right. This is from spacenews.com. Max Space, a company, announces plans for an inflatable space station modules. So a startup has unveiled plans to develop inflatable modules that the company believes can be made larger and less expensive than alternatives, supporting commercial space stations and other applications. Max Space is developing a series of expandable modules, the first of which is scheduled to launch on a SpaceX rideshare mission in 2025. The Max Space 20 module, compacted into a volume of 2 cubic meters for launch, will expand to 20 cubic meters after deployment, making it the largest expandable module flown to date. The company has built a version of the Max Space 20 module for testing, recently exhibiting it at the invitation-only Mars conference hosted by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. The company is now working on a flight version with enhancements like debris shielding.
First of all,
important.
Jeff, we didn't get our invitation, and
No.
we would like
It was
that fixed
probably
next
lost.
time.
Probably
No.
lost. It happens.
So
I've heard of the company. They're in Colorado Springs, aren't they?
Max Space? No,
I think
I don't think
yes, I think so.
so. Maybe I didn't run across that though. But this video is really pretty cool. So it's very slickly produced. Because I didn't know really shit about inflatables until I watched this video. So,
The International Space Station took 60 launches and $100 billion to make. Unless we make usable space in space a lot less expensive and much, much larger, humanity's future in space will remain limited. My first company, Made in Space, pioneered the first in-space manufacturing. But I quickly realized if we were ever going to bring real commercialization to space, we needed a lot more volume. Expandables are the only comprehensive
this next
solution
guy's
that
name
allow
is
this to be
Maxim.
possible. And no one in the world knows space expandables better than Maxim.
I built the first 2 inflatable deployable spacecraft, Genesis 1 and 2, and they're still circling the globe to this day.
As space
Despite
junk.
the success, we needed still a much bigger size. We developed a proprietary expandable architecture. It decomposes the pressure shell into discrete, uncoupled structural elements. It means that we can double, triple, quadruple the size of our architecture with full predictability.
Our expandables at Max Space are safer and stronger than standard metallic architecture. We've tested our modules to the limit. We exploded them, launched projectiles at them, vibe tested, vacuum tested, exposed them to space's harshest conditions. Our Max Space modules are bigger, easier to manufacture, and more scalable than other systems. We just finished our full fidelity ground unit and are now building our flight unit, which will be the largest expandable habitat to ever go to space. The cost of launching to space is dropping dramatically, but without access to more volume, the potential of space remains out of our grasp. Our mission is to unlock a new frontier for humanity. This will enable new drugs to be created in space. Revolutionary space farming.
It's Martian.
Removing
Martian.
the industry's limitations on Earth, and a new type of entertainment.
I don't know what the entertainment is.
You know what the entertainment is.
Everything we do stems from one goal: more volume, less cost. We get orders of magnitude more volume per rocket. That means one ISS at less than 1% of the cost. Max Space was created to maximize space in space in a way that's never been possible before.
For all your orders of magnitude inflatable needs, please go to Mr. History's OnlyFans page.
If you want to see Max Space.
I have a link.
So I thought that was a pretty good video. I mean, you
That
talk
is
about
impressive.
a really cool niche market that they're going through. And if you
The
can
ballistic
perfect that
component, like right off the bat, my brain was like, "Oh, it's gonna get hit with some shit." But imagine if it was a like his component is inflatable and flexible versus freaking a
Right.
solid piece.
Right.
That might solve some issues with space junk.
And how long does it
Yeah.
last?
I don't
Right?
know.
I mean-
I don't know
Well,
what the
there's still a-
durability
I'll-
is. Yeah. Or any of that.
What did Maximus say? What was his
Maxim. Maximus.
what did
Close enough.
Maximus? What was his satellite?
Genesis 1 and 2. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, if somebody can solve that, and the company's article said, we're just bringing this product to whoever wants to buy it. I was like, oh, that's smart, man. We're not making it strictly for NASA. We're making it for whoever wants to build something up there.
It's pretty creative, man. I got to give them that.
And the article went into a lot of the issues that they had with the expanding material, on how there is the big problem is that when it expands, there's stressors, but they can't predict where those stressors are going to be with that expanding material, and they're perfecting that, and that's one of the problems that they're solving with some of their technology. So I thought it was pretty cool.
So once it inflates, then you move all the stuff into it. Like how does an
I assume,
how does like a keyboard or electronic piece of equipment?
I
Or
think
is
it's just like a pop-up trailer, man.
Plug it in
It's like you park it and pop it up, and you're like, okay, put whatever you want in that damn thing.
Interesting.
You know?
I don't know how you create.
I wonder if
source.
it's all underneath, right? There's like a module underneath. It expands, and then you open a door,
Yeah,
and then
could
all
be.
this. Yeah.
Power.
But I mean, if you had 2 cubic feet, and you had 10 of those damn things, and they go to 20 cubic feet, all of a sudden you got 200, whatever the math is, right? And you pop all those together, and you're like, look at this. Yeah.
It's Cheyenne Mountain all over again.
Hey, maybe we could buy those and solve the housing crisis out at Edwards, so people wouldn't have to live in RVs.
Amen.
Right.
They're like,
Solid.
Here's
Solid
an
go back.
inflatable module, just
Yeah.
shack
That was a
up
good
in
callback.
here.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We'll inflate it when you arrive.
Dude, he says like my inflatable. Maybe he's saying like durability, and they're running into like ability to survive. The Genesis 1 and 2 were launched in 06 and 07.
Okay.
It's
It's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
I thought they were up there since like the 60s or 70s. Or
Right.
something like that,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what are they doing? Are they just floating around? Like,
Space
are they
junk.
just space junk?
I mean,
Yeah.
the earliest thing that we still have up there is
59?
1958
Mm, yeah.
Vanguard.
Rocket
Wing.
body.
I'm telling you, we need to check
No,
that.
the actual, it's right here on the Celeste track.
We need to check that periodically throughout the year and say, okay, is it still
What's
up there?
gone?
Yeah, let's. Too bad we couldn't predict the deorbit. That would be some money on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting for him to say, my stuff is still there. What's it fucking doing?
Well, yeah, but is it
Is it
punched
storing
full of
something?
holes or what?
Yeah.
Is it
That's what I mean.
a Russian toilet run into it and it's like, oh, it's still up there, but it's
It
severely
is
damaged.
exciting.
Full of shit.
It is pretty exciting. I do kind of like it.
Yeah, it's neat.
a
I
great
mean,
It's a
idea.
cool idea.
I give those guys credit for thinking of something outside the box, because if they perfect it, man, they're done. They're set, right?
Yeah.
And they're the first ones to do it successfully. So, but it launches in
imagine
2025. So
It would look really cool if the space station was just like a bundle of grapes, basically.
yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's
interconnected
just all
core,
it's all
but
modular.
grapes.
You just we need some more room. Let's attach some more of these modules. Send some more up.
And if they could get like the exterior to be solar panels, that'd be
Well,
freaking
the end of that
cool as
video
heck.
had a tagline that said, "Imagine being able to launch a stadium size object in one launch." Something like this. Something I can't remember what it said.
yeah.
So if
That's
they
freaking
can if they can put enough of those on there, yeah, all you gotta do is assemble.
What's
So,
it inflated with? It's like
I
got
don't know.
green. Estrogen, nitrogen.
Estrogen.
I meant to say nitrogen. You know where my mind's at now, but nitrogen, the green cap.
So as soon as you enter that module, you're like, "Whew, I feel really feminine."
Is it hot?
Somebody turn the heat on in here.
Hot?
Oh my goodness. What's going on?
Nitrogen is what I meant to say.
That's all right.
There's
Estrogen
too much
was better.
solar radiation in this mod. I'm telling you right now.
Would you lower your tone in here, please? All
You're
right.
getting a little aggressive with me.
I feel like I'm going to cry.
Canceled.
Oh, that would be a great bit. If we were comedy writers, we could write a great bit to that. No, I think it's like spines or tines or like mechanical pieces that come together and expand out some way like that. But I don't know. Could be estrogen. You never know. So.
Better than nitrogen.
Teapot is not amused. You
Why did I
sexist
come?
fuck.
Why am I here?
She is listening right now, and I am in trouble, you sons of bitches.
I need the staff sergeant teapot that I met way back when in 2002 because I just finished the edit of Juan Lopez's interview.
I didn't even know you did it.
Where he told me a story where you guys were TDY and you wish they all died in Arizona or something like that. I can't get it right.
Man,
So
I was drunk singing Tool lyrics, okay? Like that
Tool,
happens.
that's it. He couldn't remember the
It
band.
happens.
He couldn't remember.
It happens. We made Juan drive.
It happens to the best of us.
All right, let's. Oh my God, that's one story down. All right,
Teapot,
let's.
Did you ever track or just mentally track who had the most experience drunk driving so they had to drive in an emergency case?
Oh,
Yeah.
I put
I've
Corey
got a
Hume
name.
up there every day.
Oh, there was
Corey
multiple
Hume-
times as
Corey
a
Hume, the
weapons
drunk,
loader.
yeah, the drunken he got, the more sober he seemed. It was crazy.
Stable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah, there was multiple times as a weapons loader. It was like, dude, we're all smashed.
Yeah.
You got the most drunk driving hours. You got to get us on base. You got to
Or-
get us home.
But way back then, it was back then for maybe Eric and I, it was just like, just get us to the front gate. We'll walk from there. you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
it
gotta
wasn't
walk.
good. I'm not
Yeah.
condoning it at all. It was ridiculous.
But that was back
airmen
then when
were
you could kinda,
looking for you DUI
you
fellas.
just kind of tip your hat to the MPs or security forces. It was like,
I
all
know
right,
you
go
did.
Go to your
Oh, I
dorm.
did.
They'd be like, I'll go to the dorm. Don't
I
worry.
made my
God.
shift go by quick.
You guys,
been
you
drinking?
boys been drinking?
A little alcohol in there.
Yeah, confiscate that.
It's that booze hag right there. It's not me.
I'm the sober one.
I,
10-2, baby.
I was legitimately sober one time and I got pulled over. The cop followed us from the bar
Mm.
and I got pulled over.
Oh man,
Well,
that sucks.
I pulled over because my back seat guy was like, you gotta get over. I'm like, we're gonna get pulled over if we actually do this. And he's like, I don't care. I'm like, okay, fine. Boom. And as soon as that happened, lights go on. Yep. Perfect timing is the cop walks up and he goes, why'd you pull over? I go, I'm the DD tonight. These guys have been drinking. And he said I had to pull over. He goes, have you been drinking? And right at that time, Jim in the back seat was like, blah, like out the window. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And my freaking passenger was Bill. And he's like, hey man, you pulled me over last week. You remember? I drive the gold Camaro.
Nice.
I didn't drive tonight. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Bill. He's like, I didn't drive tonight. Watch out for my Camaro. It's at the refinery. I was like, and that cop is just like, what the fuck? I was like, you see?
That's
He's
why I'm
like,
driving, officer.
"Have a
That's why I'm
good night."
driving.
You have a drink? No. Have a good night.
One of these times we should do a story about all the clever techniques that everybody had to you can get out of it.
Disguise it.
Cinnamon oil, I remember all those fucking things, right?
Pennies.
I can't smell that stuff. Don't worry about it. Yeah, pennies. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Seeds. Just put some seeds in there.
All right,
Sunflower seeds.
let's go revisit a story we did almost a year ago. Can you believe that it was
Sorry,
that
Marty.
long ago that we did this story? So, this is from the Associated Press. The return of horse-drawn caissons to Arlington National Cemetery is delayed.
On hold. I didn't
To
realize
return-
it was that difficult, man.
It
Goddamn.
is apparently, right? So this is a lot of words, but it's basically going to rehash what we covered a year ago. Return of horse-drawn caissons at Arlington National Cemetery is being delayed for months and maybe longer, the Army said Friday, as it struggles to improve the care of the horses after 2 died in 2022 as a result of poor feed and living conditions. So obviously nobody's paying attention to this problem.
Man.
Nearly a year.
What?
Can you hear that?
Yes. Are
Grace.
you doing the? Hey, are you diddling?
No, that's my dog who I've locked out of the basement, so she won't come down here. So, nearly a year after the Army suspended the use of the gray and black horses for funerals, officials said they are making progress buying new horses, getting better equipment, improving the training facilities and turnout areas. But Major General Trevor Bredenkamp, commander of the Military District of Washington, said it's been far more time-consuming and difficult than initially expected to get the program going again, and it will take an extended period of time to get enough horses to meet the funeral needs. So, Teapot, this story we did was about all these horses dying and were getting really sick who were pulling the caissons at Arlington. And then they figured out, oh, yeah, this pasture that you got is good for about 2 horses, and you got 50 of them. And a couple horses died because they grazed everything. They were grazing gravel.
Eating everything.
And they died from colon impaction. So 2 of the old guard platoon horses, here it is, Mickey and Tony, had to be euthanized within days of each other in February 2022. Both died from colon impaction. The Army found that the horses had very little grass in their turnout fields, and they consumed sand and gravel from the ground while eating the low-quality hay they were fed. The fields were littered with construction debris and manure and were only large enough to support 6 or 7 horses, nowhere near the 64 that were using the fields when Mickey and Tony died.
What happened to the old guard?
They're dying off?
Man.
At the time, officials said the conditions were from mismanagement, lack of resources, and a poor understanding of the horses' needs. They also said soldiers needed better training on how to care for them. So
what
that's
off
the kind of
for all this?
Yeah, that's the kind of
Probably went to
position that
Edwards
needs to
after
have
that, right?
GSs.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Right? Like, give me a GS something,
right.
and you're the stable manager.
Yep.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Right? And then he can have a couple of low-lying Army guys.
I will
To
tell
help.
you, in the Philippines, we had a stable and we had a horse
Right,
patrol.
you said that. Yeah, you
And
said
those
that.
guys did a great job of taking care of, but I don't believe grass was ever an issue because, the Philippines was just full.
Yeah.
The
Well,
stables are
here's how I can picture this happening. Trying to get into like a soldier's mind, basically the command's mind. Let's say it that way. So they have a certain amount of horses, right? And they're like, "Wow, we're getting a lot of funerals. We need more horses."
Mm.
And so they're like, "Well, let's get a couple more here. Let's get a couple more there." And they're like, "Okay, we're meeting the funeral schedule, which is."
Just give them more hay.
And that's
give 'em more hay.
we're good. And then all of a sudden, 6 months go by, and you got 64 horses in a field that can only support 10, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, we got to get another horse here. I mean, they're saying they got 27 to 30 funerals a day at Arlington.
Damn. Yeah.
with 6 to 8 of those a day that qualify for the escort. So let's say it's 8 a day. You need the horses walking out there. It's not a stressful walk, right? But I guess if you walk one, you're like, we don't want to walk them on the next one, so we need another one for the next one. So we need 8 horses at least. Well, let's get 16, then we won't stress them out. And then boom, 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 boom. And they're like, why are these 2 dying? I don't understand.
Boom, boom,
Like,
boom,
'cause they're eating
boom.
rocks.
Impacted colon.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
And so this general came out and said they need 6 squads of horses to handle the funerals. And currently they have 42 horses that are being cared for by a professional facility in Virginia. It's like, why don't you just pay them some money
Literally.
and let them do it, right? So,
Man.
Yep.
but they said they don't know when it's going to come back, but it's not coming back anytime soon. So, anyway,
The
that's
horses
an
that
update to
jacked
our
up, they're
story.
like,
I
they're not
just
going to be ready for a while.
and how hard it is
Right.
to take care of the stables with horses.
I mean, what changes?
Every day, there's not like you can't find a resource to go figure out how to take care of a horse, and
Right,
how to
right.
feed it, or you know.
But what are those update meetings like? You know, the guy who's out there trying to get it back is like, okay, how high is the grass today? It's like, are you guys going to build like 2 more acres? And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay, well then, same as last week, no progress. I mean, what are they
That's
waiting
tough,
on?
because
Yeah,
that's an
nuts.
honor for our dead that should be in
Sure.
place.
Sure, and
happening
because of
every day.
mismanagement,
That's a
they,
damn shame.
I mean, it's not like we mismanaged this in the 80s and we mismanaged this in the 50s. It's like, no, first time. You guys have had horses dying on you. What has happened over the last 200 years?
It's a damn shame.
I know, it's too bad.
You know who doesn't suffer from mismanagement through impacted colon? Mr. History.
I'm good.
In
I got
fact,
plenty of fiber.
if he did have an impacted colon, that might be a special for that month. So,
No.
That'd be
That
heavy.
colon is spick and
Hey.
span.
Ask me if I'm 285 with an impacted colon.
you may be. Yeah, but that's an angry 285.
Oh,
But you have no endurance because you're impacted. So it's like, okay, I'll run around the block. You
Yeah.
can't keep up.
thank God.
Okay, let's talk about some more bad news with money. All right.
Oh, look at this.
So, I don't know what's happened over this last couple months, but we had the story on the VA not accounting for all the things that they're not accounting for. And we didn't do the story on the ADHD drugs. But this is another one. So they must have had some big audit, right? And all these reports are slowly coming out. And this is one of them. This is from stripes.com. Cost of sustaining Lockheed Martin's F-35 jet now forecast to exceed $1.5 trillion.
Dollars, man. It's good God.
Yet they have the A-10 that you could keep running with effing duct tape and baling wire. And they're like, nope, let's get rid of it. And it's like, well, it's pretty easy to maintain, right? They're like, no, we got to put all our money into this F-35.
Does this
You're looking at the nation's deficit right there with one
Because
F-35.
yeah.
does this hasten the need for drone technology? Drone
It's probably
squadrons?
going to push it there, right?
Not
it's probably
right.
gonna-
At
yeah.
some point, you gotta 50
Yeah.
drones could do the work of one
mean,
F-35 and cost.
Look at that one story about the Air Force being to rewrite software out in the field and make drones do what they want out in the field, including not kamikaze drones, but I think they call them one-way drones. So, all right, I know there was a term that was like, oh, this is a one-way drone. And it's like, oh,
That's
okay.
legit. Sorry, man. That's kudos whoever.
Come on.
Yeah, that was good. That's the best description of okay. This is a drone that's not coming back because it's attached to a bomb. So, as drones get bigger and they can drop the same bomb that Lockheed can.
Yeah.
I mean, not Lockheed, but the F-35 can.
Right.
Hard to
But
justify
Lockheed,
$1.5 trillion over the next 10 years. So,
The F-35 is legit though. That is a
one of the cool
conundrum,
things I
man.
saw. And
It is ridiculous.
I looked at a video one time on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, you want F-35 videos all the time, right?" And I saw one that, and I don't know if it's true or not. I assume it's true, but one of their countermeasures. Have you seen this? One of the countermeasures, they trail electronic piece out on a cable. Like, and I don't know how far, half a mile, whatever it is. So if they get something shot at it, now they're trailing this thing that's actually emitting signals to either confuse it. And if it doesn't confuse it, then it'll mimic the F-35 going after this trail drone that the F-35 is launched out. And I was like, wow, what a countermeasure. That's really cool, right?
How much actual combat service has the F-35 seen? Do we know?
Oh, about as much as a B-36.
I would like to know.
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, it's nowhere near, obviously, the F-16, F-15.
Sure. No.
Even the F-22, right, has one.
It goes back to, like, do we want to show our hand kind of thing?
Yeah. Capability.
Right? Right. We'll go into Nevada to see exercises. That's like an air show, right?
Kind of, yeah.
And you see
demonstration,
like sitting in the parking lot at Nellis.
Oh, what a show!
During Red Flag,
right?
You're seeing everything take off. Like you're seeing C-130s, you're seeing freaking growlers, like everything, literally everything. Even 22s on occasion taking off. You never see a 35.
Oh, no kidding!
Like,
really?
I've never seen a 35.
How many hours they got? I wonder. Flying.
I have actually. I've seen a 35 take off. Yeah.
Nice.
You mean like the vertical takeoff? Or?
At Pete?
No.
Or like a regular
They were Marines, though. They came here.
Yeah.
They like to stop here and hang out. And
the gas station
was a photographer. And he brought me, my wife, and my daughter out the flight line, hung out with them, took pictures, and
No way.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
I don't pretend to know all the capabilities, but man, something's got to be there for them to pump this money into them. And I think they're legit, man. I don't think anyone's close. I really don't.
I don't know, man. I mean, they built that F-22, and the Eurofighter kicked the F-22's ass.
I'm with
initially
on this one,
right? Initially.
Thank you, Jake.
But have they dogfought? Have they dog?
There's no such thing as dogfighting anymore, Marty. Not when the 35 is going to take you out before
but you got to put up. I mean, I'm sure they've done an F-25 against an F-35 or F-22 against an F-35, right?
Yes,
they had
and
to
I think Marty, imagine in my mind, like a growler times 10 in the same body as a 22.
F-35 doesn't have. Well, okay, it's close. It's close, right? Is it better aerodynamically than the F-16?
Yeah.
Or is it just loaded with more stealth and electronics? I don't know.
All of the above.
All of the above. The answer is D, Marty.
All right, we're gonna research this, and we're gonna come back next week and find out.
I'm very curious too. They're talking about retrofitting the 22 with more modern technology. The 22 seems also incredibly badass. But
they've already canceled it. That's it, right? They've made the last of them.
A facelift.
I know.
You do that a facelift. What is that thing going to do?
Why are we retrofitting the B-52 and the F-16 over and over and over for decades? But they're like, hey, here's the new air superiority fighter. We're going to get rid of it. And we're going to pour all the money into this F-35.
I gave you a few stats in the chat area, guys. Just FYI.
Just say
a go-getter.
What are the stats?
Helpful. Well, the F-35, as of May 4th, 2021, so it's a little outdated, has accumulated 385,000 flight hours, and that includes both training and operational missions. So it's flown some operational sorties. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the Chinese balloon.
It's just curious. So I'm sure that time, the hours have probably doubled by then, I would think.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty close.
And that's true. It's flown by everybody.
Yeah.
And it's our biggest export right now, too. So that's another piece. It's like, oh, yeah, we promised all these countries. So All right. Well, let's do some research there on modern jets. Maybe we'll have a all military team of modern jets, and we got to
Ooh.
defend it. Yeah, we haven't done that in a while.
Not-
The world's costliest weapons program, Stripes.com says, Lockheed Martin's F-35 fighter jet is getting even more expensive, according to a government watchdog. Whoever this government watchdog is just, I mean, they're exposing all this stuff, but they're just like, okay, thank you. Yeah, we know we lost money last year. Thanks. 9 years
I
after.
also wonder what we're hiding in the F-35 program.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good
Right?
point. That's a good point. Good point.
Just historically speaking,
yeah.
we've hid whole fucking stealth skunk work projects
Right.
within the canopy of
True
maybe
that.
the F-15, F-16 kind of. Oh, this F-15 is so fucking expensive. Okay, but you might get this whole new stealth plane out of it.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
the same with
yeah,
the
that's true.
117, the stealth fighter, the 117. That's got technology that's still freaking taking care of business.
Sure, and I mean the F-15 still pretty viable, you know. I mean, well, anyway, 9 years after the Marine Corps declared its first F-35 operational, the Pentagon now projects that the cost of operating and maintaining a jet through 2088. So, Jesus, 88. That's like 64 years. Will be $1.58 trillion, 44% higher than originally forecast in 2018.
Damn.
Okay,
Right?
wait.
That's
When did the A-10 come out? Like, it hasn't
70s?
been 88 years.
Yeah, 70.
Like, it hasn't been fucking 70 years.
I don't know.
They're forecasting way in the future.
Way in the future. So
No
now,
shit, it's going to be 1.4 trillion.
Yeah, and now it's a little. That's a crazy date to throw out there. The GAO report paints a troubling picture of the plane's readiness, saying that inadequate training, lack of spare parts and support equipment, and a heavy reliance on contractors mean all three services that deploy the jet, the Air Force, Marines, and Navy, project they will be able to fly the F-35. Now, here's the troubling part. Less often than originally hoped. So they're doing fewer hours to save money. That's bad for
and
readiness.
fuel. Yeah, I mean, what good is it? The A-10 came into service in 72, by the way.
72 against the Red Horde.
Oof.
According to the assessment, the F-35 fleet's overall availability has trended downward considerably over the past 5 years, and none of the variants are meeting availability goals. The percentage of time the aircraft can perform one of its task missions. The F-35 fleet is not meeting most of its performance goals, according to the assessment. As of December, so here's our readiness, right? As of December, all three services that use the jet were falling well short of their performance goals. Just 52% of the Air Force's F-35As were considered partially mission capable.
Wow.
Partially mission capable.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me they're dedicating resources to different things.
Oof.
That's what that tells me. I don't.
Or they're cannibalizing like a fiend.
Yeah,
to
they're
keep the
prioritizing
ones
other
up,
things.
right?
I think they're prioritizing other things.
The Air
And
Force.
they don't want to pay contractors.
It could be, and they did say one of the big cost overruns was letting Lockheed figure out their cost stuff without
Sole
the government's
source.
intervention.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things they're going to change, or that's one of the things that Congress is going to talk about, which maybe changes before 2088. I don't know.
You know, Marty, remember the story we did 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years. The F-35's ejection seat. Who made it?
Yeah, because they were grounded because of that.
Yeah,
right?
it was
Yeah.
Chinese made.
That's
man.
right.
The Chinese made.
God,
it.
that's
So,
crazy. That was 2 years. That was when we first started this.
Started.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
That long?
Yeah.
Man.
We're still
That was
here.
one of the first stories we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric did it. Okay, so 52% of the Air Force's F-35s were considered partially mission capable, short of a goal of 80%. For the Navy, that number was 62% compared to a goal of 75%.
Wow.
Pentagon officials told auditors that significant F-35 program cost reductions will only come from flying the aircraft less or reducing the number of aircraft in the fleet. That's what the Pentagon comes up to go, hey, we're going to lower the costs. We're just fly them less.
We'll just have less of them.
Oh, man.
Who the hell is that guy they put up there?
You know it would cut the cost of manning. Have less manning.
Right. That was somebody's
brains.
that was somebody's Monday
Big
morning
brains.
excuse, and they're like, "This is all we have is fly less and don't produce enough planes." It's like that's all I could come up with over the weekend. So
Don't use as much fuel.
Oh, don't. Yeah.
no
That's a big
supersonic.
Brilliant.
Yep.
No,
Kevin's really onto
supersonic.
something here.
Put estrogen in their tires.
Promote now.
Oh,
The Pentagon's progress to improve readiness will be probed this week. It's supposed to be today, I think, by a House Armed Services Committee. The Pentagon's program office in March 2023, when confronted with an overall readiness rate of 54%. That was the overall readiness rate of the F-35.
that's crazy.
They convened a war on readiness to increase the overall rate by 10% by last month. Full a year later, they're like, "Can you get it to 10%?" And they're like, "No, we got it to 58." That was it.
Not without declaring a war on it.
We
So-
need a lot more money. So
We export the 35, right? Like different variants.
yeah, I was just
What
about
if
to
all
get
the
to
other
that.
countries
Do
are
we?
like
I don't-
90%? They're like, what the fuck is wrong with these guys?
Well, listen,
Just
here,
easy.
let me read this
What
and
are
then
you
we'll go.
talking
The Pentagon last month declared the F-35 ready for full rate production, a largely symbolic decision because Lockheed's already making it, which is 8 or 9 years after the projected date. So remember all
Not
the
bad.
criticism that Sibbers got? Because Eric Sibbers used to have this tagline of online in 99.
99.
And it actually came online in 2001. Well, the F-35 is like 8 years late.
It's late.
It's not so bad. Sibbers pretty good.
It's not bad.
The U.S. now has on contract 881 of its planned 2,456 planes.
Wow.
So it's still got 1,600 more planes to build.
At a cost of 1.5 trillion.
Not to mention all the exports we have, right?
Oof.
And what you were saying, Teapot. I didn't get
Are
the
we
numbers on the
really
exports,
exporting
so-
those?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
there's a bunch
yeah.
of countries
Yeah.
signed up for these things.
Really?
No,
Because it's supposed to. I think they build it as the F-16 replacement, and you know we
Yes.
ship the F-16 everywhere.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
everywhere, right? And they want
That's
the
the
F-35.
AK-47 of the air.
Absolutely, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
damn. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, because they were exporting MiGs a lot early on in the '80s, but they don't export them anymore, right? So.
it's a great A-frame though, airframe. That's something
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
worth-
F-16 is pretty solid. I mean, there's no talk about getting rid of the F-16. So,
Flying Eagle, baby. Just rock. Throw your music in.
Fighting Falcon. It's okay.
it's
No,
the,
but the name of the movie, Iron Eagle.
That's
know.
true.
Puts his
You're
music
right.
but
you're
that
right.
but that's the whole thing. It was that's what we joked about is that it's the F-15 Eagle as the F-16 fighting Falcon.
I'm a Stinger guy. I know.
Hey, director, do you think we should get some
Feedback?
military guys in on this movie? They're like, fuck them. I'm calling it Iron Eagle. I'm like, yeah, but that's a fighting Falcon. I'm Iron Eagle.
Irrelevant.
They're like,
Irrelevant.
okay, you want some more coffee? Sure.
The main character's name is Chappie.
And
Yeah,
may
no
I
questions
say,
asked.
R.I.P. for Louis Gossett Jr.
Yes.
or
Yeah.
passing away the other week, right? No better role, which I didn't realize he won a supporting actor Oscar for
that?
Officer and a Gentleman. For Officer
Oh.
and a Gentleman, yeah.
That I can believe.
Okay.
Yeah, that I can
Not
I was like,
not.
Iron
Of
Eagle?
course.
No way.
He was the only redeeming thing in Iron Eagle. That's for sure. I mean, that's for sure. So
The
anyway,
Spec player was pretty cool.
Thank you, Eric. I was just thinking of that. I was like, I'm pretty sure I had a silver Sony cassette player for that reason.
Yes, he
Maybe
did on
a
the
Panasonic.
leg
Oh,
board,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Oh man.
Crank it up.
All right, let's get into something fun here, or angering. I'm not sure, because here's the thing. I try not to be the old guy saying, God, when I went in what 80,
Mhm.
86.
Crusty AF.
But it wasn't crusty. It was, in fact, it was getting easier compared to what guys were like when Eric started, right?
Crusty. not
So his
crusty
basic
AF.
was a lot different than the basic that I went through, and we were.
Crusty
What'd
as
you win
fuck.
in 83, Eric? You win 83,
81.
81. So I can't even say that I can compare to that. But
Look at
the
Teapot.
one thing, I
What?
mean, but
You
the
were
one
alive
thing,
in 81?
I was 3.
well, yeah, but the one thing that was consistent, and even consistent for you guys, were standards generation and maintaining standards and holding to standards, right? You guys are still of the generation where you had to shine boots. They don't have to shine
Yeah.
shit anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
this next here's another report, right? Every time they do a report on the military,
Something's found.
it's not like, hey, the only ones who come out well are the Coast Guard. And they're like, hey, Coast Guard is 98% ready, and they're getting 10 tons of drugs every month, right? Although they
Where
just
have they
had a
been doing
story
well,
where
though?
they had a cheating scandal at the academy, the Coast Guard Academy. But all right, so here's another report that came out. So I cut that off. Don't be concerned that I cut that off, because it's the actual story, because I cut it off for space, right? But the actual story from military.com is medical beard waivers nearly double in Air Force and Space Force in just 3 years. So, Jake, when you said to me last week that I need to step up my game, putting down the other services, these next couple stories are just like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe we shouldn't be that bold.
Maybe not that. Yeah.
Not that bold, right? So, according to service data provided to military.com, shaving waivers for medical conditions have. What happened to Teapot?
No.
Oh, we lost Teapot.
Oh, where'd he go?
Can't handle
Beard
Fort.
envy. He suffered from beard envy. That'll happen.
Well, he wasn't saying much. Maybe he just got tired of it.
Mama called him.
That's because
I'm out.
that's because his internet went out.
There you go.
That'll happen.
He got unplugged.
No, he had to go to the bathroom. That's what he just texted me. Text from Teapot, quote, I have to poop so bad, LOL. Hasn't he said that on like every podcast that we've had?
I don't know.
I don't know if you read it out loud, but that's been the sentiment on
Oh, that's
multiple.
it. He deserves that. He deserves that. Yeah.
It's like that commercial with the little kids. You know the poop is coming.
Yep.
Guys are all big. It's gotta go.
It's either the time that we do this podcast, or I still can't come up with another idea, because this isn't the first time that he signed off just a little bit early because he has to go to the bathroom. So I don't understand it.
Hey, priorities.
That's all right. Well, it's
it.
like you should be grateful for the time that you have with him, because
At least he's not
he's
impacted.
he's a fleeting dream. He's just
Not impacted. He's good.
That's true. He's not an Arlington horse.
Yeah,
so
he's
that's good.
grazing well.
Yeah, that's good. That's right. Maybe a little too much. So,
I mean,
all right. So yeah, he's gonna miss it. Yeah, he's gonna miss this video. According to the service data provided at military.com, shaving waivers for medical conditions have skyrocketed for Air Force Airmen and Space Force Guardians over the past 3 years, allowing more service members to grow beards. Between 2021 and 2023, the number of active duty airmen with shaving waivers due to pseudofolliculitis barbae
Big word.
a skin
No.
condition causing frequent and painful razor burn that disproportionately affects black men, has grown from 10,965 to 18,991. So
It's a
8,000
fucking
more
epidemic.
people.
Damn.
8,000 more people. And most of it is like, hey, how'd you do that? It was like, just tell them you itch.
You got a few
and I was like,
bumps.
okay, I'll
Here,
do
I got
that.
this really shitty razor.
Right.
Just go
Right.
4 times over.
Yeah.
in
Few
the
ingrown
wrong
hairs.
direction.
So an emphasis on this article. This is just on medical waivers. Is that they didn't include religious waiver numbers in this at all. So
Yeah.
waivers in the Air Force Reserve rose 700 from the 2 years prior. The Air National Guard rose 1,100 over the last couple of years. Even the Space Force's relatively small number of medical shaving waivers for Guardians nearly doubled just between 2022 and 2023, going from 151 to 288. So
Wow.
beards are one of the most requested changes in the Department of the Air Force, as well as the military at large. Black service members reported as recently as 3 years ago that obtaining a shaving waiver harmed their careers.
Really?
But I thought that part was interesting. And I can understand it because they just allowed this over the last couple of years. So now you walk in, maybe a promotion board or something like that. What is your first reaction
To a guy with a beard?
to guy with a beard? You go,
Sure.
This lazy motherfucker, right? He's getting
Well, and
away
it's
with it.
funny because it goes back to what Jake said. Jesus, in my year in 1981, very few guys had shaving waivers, but there were a few. You would think with the advancement of, I don't know, razor blades from 2 to 5 and all this stuff that has advanced the
Yeah.
ability to shave you without that problem, how is this getting worse? I don't get it.
Here's the piece that, because I'm with you all the
Unless
way,
it's all
right?
bullshit.
Where's, Jake's got to go to the bathroom now?
He's got a
This is
shaving waiver.
completely screwing up this whole segment, which was going to be great.
He's got a shaving waiver.
But what you're saying is, here's the thing, is that the guys I ever knew that had a shaving waiver, and I understand, I've seen the medical data of how the ingrowns, I get that. But every guy has not, it would be different if I saw you with the shaving waiver, but you still tried to shave it down as much as you could and make it uniform and make it look good.
Sure.
Every guy I've ever seen with a shaving waiver looks like he's been out camping for a week. It's like, I know you got a shaving waiver, but why does it look all unkempt?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I got a shaving waiver. I was like, I know that, but trim it up. Oh, it hurts. It hurts when I trim it up. And it's like,
Yeah, I'm not buying
you
that.
are taking advantage of this thing. That's the first thing I think of. So I thought it was interesting that they say that there's a survey of them and they're like, oh, yeah, this harms my career. All right, well, you have no hard proof of that.
Yeah, and
But
I
at
don't.
the same time, are you really trying to keep it as close to skin as you can?
Yeah,
Because it's only supposed to be a 1/4 inch. That's not long.
right. No,
Every
but
shaving
you're right.
waiver
Everything
guy.
was thick,
Yes.
curly, thick, black.
Much
especially on the neck.
more than a 1/4 inch.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think you're right. What you were saying about first impressions of walking into a board, you're meeting a board or something. First
Sure.
impression,
sure.
you have a shaving waiver, and
Well, they a survey conducted in a 2021 study detailed that 21.4% of service members with shaving waivers said it had a negative impact on their career. An alarming 63% of those service members who said it had harmed their career or created negative bias within their unit were black.
I honestly agree with Eric and you in that I could fully see how it would harm their career.
Sure, the first impression is just like, ugh. Yeah.
But
But
now
this
there's
article,
also the flip side, like you were saying. You said mangy, basically. I always got frustrated with the guys that would come in on Friday with everything like perfectly trimmed into a goatee or Monday, and I'm like, okay, that's not a shaving waiver.
Right.
Like that,
No.
you trim up once a week, okay, fine. Do it on
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't trim it up so you can go out on the town.
And
Yeah,
look cool.
they're all edged
Right.
up. Everything's perfect, and they're like, oh, no folliculitis right here, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh no, that's
It's all good
sharp.
up
That's all
there.
cool. That's all smart.
But you're right. It would instantly be like,
It
okay,
maybe
shame.
in 10 years it
And
won't,
unfortunately,
but right now it
that's
does.
the
Yeah.
thing. It would be
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
Well, and
shame.
if the military accepts full beards as
Sure.
a normal,
Right.
it's going to go away. I guarantee you probably won't even hear that much
Well,
about
part of the article that
Superfluous
I
Barbier, whatever
yeah,
it is.
part of the-
it'll go back.
part of the article that I didn't cover is a commander admits that we need to kind of do some re-education on or some new education on this and not have that instant reaction when somebody comes into a board with a beard, right? However, in late 2022, I'm going to show you something. In late 2022, military.com also reported that the Air Force Honor Guard can start having shaving waivers. Did you know that? The Honor Guard can now start having
come
shaving
on.
waivers. So let me show you an example picture of an Air Force Honor Guard.
There he is with a shaving waiver.
Right. And it just like, that's the Honor Guard. Aren't they supposed to be all spick and span? And you're like, you know, and it's going to take 10, 15, 20 years for all the old guard to get out of the military, right?
Kill over.
And then you're going to have new leaders who have grown up with this.
Sure.
Yep.
And then it won't be a big deal. But
Yep.
right now, it's so unsettling to see.
And to look
have
at
to
it,
deal
it doesn't
with, right?
look professional. It doesn't to me.
No.
Based on my what I think is professional.
what we were raised on, which is
Sure.
very hard to deprogram.
Yeah.
Right. It's every time I see a guy in uniform with the beard, I'm like, Sikh. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, right?
Yeah.
That's all that comes to my mind. It's like,
Yep.
oh, okay, you must be religious. It's like, nope, I just itch.
Which
Just have balls.
which is funny because Sikh were like, yeah, cool, fine.
Yeah.
Sikh,
Right.
fine.
Right.
Ink
That's a
on
different
hairs.
story. Yeah.
All right, so let me get in.
Go back to shaving school. Let's teach you how to shave.
No, I mean, I don't know. This is a conflicting one.
No, what's your thoughts on it, man? What's
So-
your thoughts on it?
It-
Because
I can fully see it. Like I can see those. I've seen those ingrown hairs. I've
Me
had
too.
savage
it
ingrown.
is horrible to see. Yeah,
It is
Yeah, some of
horrible.
those guys really suffer from that.
I've
But
seen
if
that.
you're gonna do it, get freaking clippers, like electric clippers, like for
Right.
your head,
Right.
and go over the whole thing at the same level.
Well, and that's what that's the whole thing. Yeah, yeah.
Don't make it a fashion statement.
Yeah.
But you can
That's what-
still
That's what bugs me.
You can still not blade shave and still
Yeah.
keep yourself all same length and make it
Yeah.
look decent, right?
Dude, give me a 5 o'clock shadow any day. Fine.
Sure.
That
And that's
picture, the picture
I'm
of the
okay
honor
with
guard guy,
Yeah.
his was long. It wasn't neatly
I
tight.
can-
That's what I was saying to
Yeah.
Eric is that every guy I've ever seen with a shaving waiver is longer than a 1/4 inch and it's unkempt. You know, it just looks like
No, I think that's
that's
the
not
strip,
bad.
though.
That's not bad. You know,
Yeah, man.
I mean,
don't know.
considering that's not too
Eric,
bad.
Eric
I've
just
seen
wishes
worse,
he was in the
right?
Navy. No, that's fine.
All right, let me
Oh.
get your reaction to this, right? So this led me
Sorry.
This
Eric.
led me to a video I saw about a month ago. Okay. And it was I think it's Air Force recruiting's attempt to try to appeal to 18 through 20-year-olds. And it's this thing called passing the phone, right? And I get it. It's like, oh, hey, we're here at AIT or tech school, whatever it is, and we're having fun together. Look, military's fun. I get that part of it. But as you watch this, just tell me all the things that pop out at you, right?
This should
Okay.
be
Like,
good.
crusty. We need teapot
Wow.
here.
Look, we're making a TikTok video.
My name is
Woo!
Specialist Stanley, and I'm passing the
Beard.
phone off to someone who joined the
Oh,
Space
yeah.
Force
Goatee.
because he thought he could become an astronaut.
Big
Morning.
beard.
My name is
Oh,
Specialist
my goodness.
Pradier, and I'm passing the phone to somebody who's too cheap to buy new BMT boots.
Okay, good morning. My name is
Wow.
Specialist Daily, and I'm passing the phone to someone who is always stalking the Reddit forums.
Hi, my name's Specialist GV, and I'm passing the phone to someone who thought we were going to Mars.
I'm Specialist Orozco, and I'm passing the phone to somebody who has the AFI on his phone.
I'm Specialist
All right, different headgear now, right?
My name is Specialist Mims, and I'm passing the phone to somebody.
Look at her glasses.
There was an earthquake, but it was
I know they're so
What?
fashionable. I like them.
The hell?
So
Wow.
I want to stress that I don't fault any of those guardians, right? Any of those young airmen, because they're only doing what they're doing,
Yes.
what they're taught, right? They're doing
Sure.
what they're taught. So it's not their fault. But they're wearing different hats, beards. Where's the one part? Let me see if I can find the one part. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, he's
Orozco,
got-
and I'm passing the
Okay.
Specialist
One, that
GV.
big white guy, watch, he really doesn't want to do this. You can
Yeah.
tell. But this next guy, look in the background. Look in the
Passing the phone
background.
to someone who thought we were going to Mars.
Everybody with their
I'm
hands in their
Specialist Orozco,
pockets,
and I'm
Oh,
passing
my
the phone to
goodness,
walking
yeah.
around. Now listen to this guy.
I'm Specialist out there. I'm passing the phone to someone who eats at a defect.
He's like, fuck
My name is
you.
Specialist
Like,
Mims,
get
and I'm
out of
passing the
here.
phone to
So,
He got his skull cap
someone-
on.
Someone who eats at the defect, right?
yeah,
Is that what
he
he
was
said?
like, I don't want to do this. And they're like, just say something. Come on, just say something, But yeah, stocking cap, maintainer cap, soft cap, Gore-Tex, hands in pockets, beards. And maybe it works. Maybe it appeals to those who are trying to come in and go, hey, I want to join the military, but I don't want to be that military.
You know what? Those people don't even know what the military used to be.
But that's
So
what
this
I mean.
was-
It's not
you're
their
right.
fault.
You're right.
And
You're
I'm
right.
not disrespecting them at all, because it's whoever the NCOs are, the chain of command, that allows all that stuff. But
I truly believe, though, from our time to their time, the prestige of being in the military, the honor of being in the military and representing something bigger than yourself is getting lost. Don't look at me like that, Jake. I saw it. Don't look at me.
Nope.
I agree.
I believe
I
it's getting
think-
lost.
I think not last week, but the week before, Marty and I had that discussion of we're constantly adjusting
sorry.
the levels, the
around.
standards. Jeez, man.
We're
constantly adjusting the standards, and
fuck.
and the majority of the time that we've done, that Marty's done interviews or I've talked to other people, and they've said, "Oh, this guy, he was a freaking memorable leader, and he was always fair or strict, but fair.
But
Strict
fair.
always
Strict
comes
but fair.
from
Yeah,
first.
strict but fair.
Strict but fair." And every one of them that had mentioned that had gotten chewed out by that person. And then, hey, this is everybody's the same. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's the standard. And I think being held to a minimum of standard, that's the problem with the morale. That's the problem. That is a contributing factor to morale.
That is
It's
a great
contributing
point.
factor to retention. If there's no standards, there's no reason to excel. There's no reason to.
I don't think anybody signs up to come in with like lax standards. I think they want
No,
the
you-
standards.
you
I think
know what
they're
you're-
like, I'm looking for this discipline. I'm looking for this. And this guy's like, yeah, wear whatever hat you want. And
You got an idea that
You don't
you're
feel
like,
like shaving,
oh, I'm
that's
going to be in the military.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
I want that experience. I want that.
Yeah.
I want that military. Right.
I will agree with that, but I think it certainly is a big failure on the strategic look at what the military
Yeah.
is going to.
Yeah, because
That's
they
fair.
think
we're fully agreeing
Yeah.
there, Eric. I
Yeah.
think the lack
Yeah.
of that standard
You're right.
and the lack of
Okay.
the ability for the NCOs and the leadership to maintain that standard
Right.
Yeah.
is a consistent contributing factor to the lack of morale and the lack of retention.
When I came in from the Army to the Air Force, the biggest difference, the most noticeable difference that I saw was the unwillingness of the officers to like maintain a set standard, right? And they're calling people by their first names, and there was conversations I had with some officers, like, call them by the rank and their last name, and they're like, we're not the Marines. We can be friendly here. And I was like, yeah, but you're missing the point of what people want and need in the military, right? Calling them friends and calling their first name and trying to be friends is not making their burden less.
Yeah,
it's just
it's
diminishing you, and more than anything else. So
and guaranteed, all those people that said, "Oh, they were strict but fair,"
yeah,
they were pissed at those people at that time. Nobody likes to be corrected,
being chewed on. Yeah,
nobody likes. I mean,
but that's a maturity thing.
I was in the wrong.
90% of us,
you
right?
know.
Yeah, because you need somebody to tell you, hey, you're fucking up.
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean you hurt my feelings, and that doesn't mean I should bow down to your feelings. It's like, no, you adjust to me. This is the military. You adjust to us.
It's not me. It's the standard.
Yeah.
You adjust to the standard.
Right. Yeah, you adjust.
I'm enforcing the standard.
You got to be this tall. You got to be this freaking whatever, physically capable, smart, whatever, proficient to be on this ride, and you have to maintain it.
And if you're
not, but what also goes along with that is that if you maintain that standard, then you will be respected by others who have also maintained that standard.
That's exactly it.
And that's how the whole thing works. Anyway, I knew that would piss you off because it pissed me off. So now you share my pain.
I do.
All right. Let's have fun on this last one. All right. So I think last month there were some Marines pictured at Mar-A-Lago. All right.
Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago?
Well, yes, Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago. So there were some people who were like, hey, they can't, military's not supposed to be political. Like, what are they doing in this candidates? Okay. So they had a spokesman come out and explain why they were at Mar-a-Lago and why they didn't violate any political thing for the military. From taskandpurpose.com. Titled, "This is Why the Marines Were at Mar-a-Lago." So a lead spokesman for the Marine Corps said in a statement that a Marine Corps color guard, it was just a color guard, that was it, that was recently photographed at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Florida, was attending a non-political event that was meant to raise awareness about veteran suicides. Okay. All right.
I'm good with
that. Those are the Marines at Mar-a-Lago, right?
Wait,
and then,
no facial hair, no beards, no.
Well, no
a stash.
I know, surprisingly, right? But in addition to this, there was a whole bunch of banter about, well, they're not wearing the chin straps on their helmet, they're not in proper uniform to be a color guard, and the guy had to come out and go, look, they weren't in the color guard formation. He had to detail out why they were okay, right? But they were invited essentially by a guy called Kerry Reichbach, who is the founder and president of a company called Gray Team, a veterans group that requested the Marine Color Guard. Gray Team is a nonpartisan nonprofit group that focuses on preventing suicides that has no connection to Trump, his reelection campaign, or any other political cause. They just used Mar-a-Lago. That was it, right? So they showed the request, the Marine Corps reviewed the request, and they're like, okay, that's fine. This had no fundraising for Trump. This had no nothing, right? So they've debunked everything's okay. These guys can be there. Where were these guys from? Let me see. I think they're from a 4th Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company. They were Marine reservists. So they provided the color guard and static display at this event for a company called Gray Team. That was it, right? But I thought it was entertaining that those 4 guys took this picture.
Oh,
I was like, oh, look at the legs on that.
who might
I
those
thought
maybe-
you cropped that picture, Marty.
And
I was like,
I did crop it. Yeah, you like that?
okay, because that's a lot of.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot of leg, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, look at those guys. And those guys are going, this is going on my wall when I'm 70 years old. Look at this, man.
Dude, they're Marine guards. They're just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
first of all, they're like, oh, we got to go out, and it's not a funeral, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
good
gonna
point.
be
Yeah. Yeah.
freaking crazy.
All we got to
And
do is
then
mark
they
in with
show
these
up with
millionaires and
this,
billionaires. Yeah. Yeah.
and you got
And-
that much thigh
And
showing.
you know, those women were like, let us take a picture with you. And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, okay, I think that
I would have been keeping my
No,
hands.
they weren't
up
okay.
front.
They were like,
That's what
hell
they all
yeah.
their hands are visible. They're all like, okay, I'm
I
so
ain't touching
nervous,
nobody.
right? But look at the ladies there.
I love it.
Good picture.
I love
man.
it. They're
I
having a good
know.
old time, man.
I know. Good on them.
They're
So,
appreciated for it.
so
I
the
don't
Marines
know.
came out. The Marines came out and backed them and said, no, there's nothing political here. They were doing this as a request. We approved the request, so everything's good.
The mustache and the black dude do not look like they're impressed. I got to tell you. Look at them. They do not
He's
look
a-
like
he's-
they're impressed.
Dude, no, because they're nervous.
The other two are smiling. The mustache and black guy are like, don't
Tell
smile.
me they're not
Don't
nervous.
even look at 'em.
They're
Don't even
not
look at 'em.
nervous about like, are we gonna get fried for this picture? Look at these women. Look at these women. We're gonna get torn down for this. But now they got a picture
Oh,
that'd
man.
be like, look at this picture, son. When I was a 25-year-old reservist,
Yeah.
look at this.
Yeah.
So
That's too much. man.
anyway, I only did that story because I wanted to show that picture because good on those
I
four.
love it, man. That's
Nice.
awesome. I mean, maybe this is a horribly like sexist, but that kind of situation and that kind of thing is exactly where the pinup paintings came from.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
exactly like
yeah.
there's
Absolutely.
that one moment with a beautiful woman, and you're like,
Right.
"Oh,
That's
Yes.
why we fight.
worth
You
it."
know, right? Back
Mm.
then,
I'm-
that's why we fight.
It's
Yeah.
No
I
doubt
mean, that's
about
a
it.
better reason than like,
you're like,
well, I
man,
fight
this-
to keep my shaving waiver. It's like, no, not me. I fight for them.
Heck
for
yeah.
a see-through
Oh my
top
God.
and a freaking
What a blast!
thigh
And
high
you know,
slit.
Yeah.
the rest of the night they're like, "Hey, let's get you a drink. We can set you up. You know, you can hang out with us. Can you dance with us? Can you dance with us afterwards?" And these guys are like, "No, God, I gotta
Even if they
go."
didn't, this moment right here is worth it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
They were dressed up, they
You
were
know.
looking sharp, they
I mean,
did
look
their
at that.
job.
We're
And they
Mar-A-Lago.
got this. That's cool.
I mean, are they the big dicks on campus? Back when they go back to the reserve unit, they're like, "Check this out, dudes! You've never
Oh, yeah.
taken a picture this good."
They're bragging rights. There's some bragging rights there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are heroes. So good on you, Marines. Well done. Anyway, Eric, what do you got for U.S. military history?
All right,
yeah.
guys. Since we've been going a while, I'll cut this thing pretty short, but it's a good one. So this idea that occurred back on 18 April 1942 was conceived in January of 1942 in the wake of the devastating Japanese surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The Joint Army-Navy bombing project was to bomb the Japanese industrial centers to inflict both material and psychological damage upon the enemy. So originally, the concept called for the U.S. to use U.S. Army Air Force bombers to be launched from and recovered by an aircraft carrier.
Well, now this was before you go into that. This
Sure.
was the retaliation against Japan for Pearl Harbor, right?
Right. We were going to try to hit them.
Yeah.
That's correct. But it also wanted us to include some damage, which we all know didn't really occur. The damage was minimal, but it was more psychological.
Psychological.
Yeah, morale.
absolutely.
So I found a little more information. What was interesting was the Martin B-26 Marauder was to be used initially, but it was unsuitable for handling characteristics. And the other one that was looked at was the Douglas B-23 Dragon, and the wingspan was too long to sit comfortably on a the
Oh, wow.
B-23 Dragon. So of course they came down with the B-25 Mitchell. So
Was that
24
a two?
planes.
Was that was a 2-engine plane, right? I'm trying to remember. Right?
2. Yep.
Okay.
2 up front. So this it was conceived in January. Crews went to the carrier on 31 March and 1 April. And then on 18 April, 24 planes drawn from the U.S. Army 17th Bombardment Group were prepared for the mission with additional fuel tanks installed and certain unnecessary equipment removed. Intensive training began in early March of 42 with the crews who had volunteered for a mission that would be extremely hazardous. Crews practiced extensive cross-country flying, night flying, and navigation, as well as low-altitude approaches. And on 18 April, they launched from the Enterprise and struck Japan for the first time.
Wow. How many? Yeah, well done. That
Huge.
was Jimmy Doolittle, right?
Yep, Jimmy Doolittle's raid.
Who was the one, without asking too many questions, I know our rules, but who was the one who thought it up, who conceived it? Was it Doolittle or was it like LeMay or?
I understand Billy Mitchell had a piece in that
Mitchell.
too.
Yeah, that's
Mitchell
right.
had a piece in it too. And I know they met with.
That was my boy, and you shot him down.
I know Franklin and a couple others actually said, "Hey, we need to strike back." So Mitchell had a piece in it along with Doolittle.
Yeah, they were Doolittle's guys. He flew on it, right? And he had so many people, like people were trying to sneak on that mission.
Oh, no kidding! I didn't realize that.
Yeah, like it.
Well,
it was...
if the movie Pearl Harbor did one thing right, at least they covered that piece. So. And that was actually the best part of the movie, really.
Yeah,
I'm still
that second half
impressed with those guys because they knew for a fact when they had to take off.
Right.
Fuel wasn't
best
enough.
Case scenario. They crash in China.
Yeah. Well, and they had to take off early, right?
Yeah,
that was the thing. Once they because they had to take off early.
Yeah, they knew they weren't.
It was a roll
anyway.
of the dice. Whether they would crash or crash in Japan or in the sea between there and China, they were like,
there was a lot of what ifs. If they had
definitely
stayed on,
not making it to our landing zone, that's for sure.
If they had stayed on the boats until their actually takeoff time, were they detected? Were they going to be hit before that? So, man, it was decisions made on the run. Let's get it done.
Those guys knowing that, they probably weren't going to make it back. The guys hitting Normandy were like, I'm probably not going to make it out of this. And they did it anyway. Yeah. That's why that generation is like, oh, shit.
Huge.
But not great for the decision makers because they're like, hey, we really want you to do this. And they're like, all right, we'll do it. But
well, and it was all volunteer.
Such a good,
all volunteer.
Right? All volunteer. Yeah.
There was such a good message and cause that we were in the right, and we were all on the same board, and
100%.
Everybody behind us back in the States was suffering, and to one extent or the other, and we had the support of everybody back in the States. You were going, man. You
well, the might of the
wasn't
US,
a question whether
US,
you were going.
That might hadn't kicked in yet. We were still up, production of tanks and airplanes and everything was still low.
Well, sure.
We were getting a lot of defeats, and this thing propelled us.
But I also think
running.
the leaders were, I don't know how much they shared. I mean, I'm not going to say that I was there, but I think they had a clear vision of like, hey, we need to do this. Right?
Yeah.
I hate to send you, but we have to get this done. And they explained why they had to get done. And that makes it a lot more palatable. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. I understand it. It's not just some frivolous thing.
My life is useless and expendable.
We're not being a political tool. We actually need to go do this military operation. So,
that was huge.
Good one.
By the way, just one more piece of information. Because of the attack from Doolittle's raid, Japanese they pulled back 2 whole flying squadrons
that's right.
of planes to protect the homeland. that stayed out of the battles. So
yeah, and they
that was
they
huge.
really weren't as aggressive anymore. And
Yep.
and they're like, oh, wait a second, wait a minute,
We can be
right?
touched.
Yeah,
You're
we
not
can be touched
untouchable.
here, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did. It didn't change the. It didn't. It wasn't a decisive thing, but
No.
it did influence like a mofo.
Big
on
time.
The way they were going to conduct the Pacific Theater. So.
Yep. Cool.
Well done, Mr. History. Impacted and all. I appreciate that. So, Teapot, I hope you are not impacted. Teapot's definitely end up. That he is definitely end up. So, on behalf of all of us here in
Try again. Take 2. Marty in depth.
That's what happens when I don't edit my script, because I was like, on behalf of all of us here and General Chris Petty, I'd like to thank you for listening today. So, on behalf of all of us here, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we did in the comments. And make sure next week that you are not late for Changeover. I know you want to do it.
No.
Just do it.
And for all your love with very little boundaries needs, please check out Mr. History's OnlyFans page.
That's love with a lot of boundaries.
Got it.
Boundaries. His boundaries have shrunk over time.
Hey, I created an inflatable, though. I'm creating inflatables, so we're good.
Oh,
That inflatable story was awesome.
25% off this month for the estrogen inflatables that Mr. History is going to do some videos on. So
That's awesome.
get your membership now.
Yikes.
Man, thanks for the week, and I'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
Holy shit.